Any business that is looking to get discovered organically, there is this entire universe of AI that you simply cannot escape from. Even if you're a very, very small business servicing a very local area, or if you're a large enterprise with international clients, right? Or if you have a mix of products and services, if it's B2B, B2C, D2C, or a blend of any of that. We're a performance marketing agency. We help a lot of North American small and medium businesses get leads and sales online. SEO is really at the heart of getting organic performance. But as most of us know, with AI coming into the picture, AI modes on Google, we have Perplexity, we have ChatGPT, we have Grok, we have all these LLMs or large language models, which is how people now search for content. You probably are going to go into ChatGPT and give a very detailed prompt or note, which is something like, I would love to have a deep dish pizza tonight, with my family, not too far away from where I live. It should be open till 11 in the night because our party starts at 9:30, so on and so forth. You can actually give a description, reasonably assured of getting an accurate answer. So the whole objective was to kind of make sure that our clients, these are all small, medium businesses, get that sort of visibility on these LLMs. Generative engine optimization, which is where you're kind of optimizing your website, your web pages for LLMs. It could be Grok, ChatGPT, Perplexity, all these kinds of tools. We kind of went into some of the larger enterprise platforms within the SEO space, and they were still figuring out how to do this. That gave birth to this tool that I will show you very soon. What this tool essentially does, you put in a URL, it automatically fetches the entire page. It studies the page in great detail across anywhere between 35 to about 120 specific parameters to check if the page has all that it needs, right from descriptions, FAQs, explanatory information, images, structure, H1, H2s, metadata, and all of that stuff, so that it gets reliably shown when somebody's searching for specific information on these LLMs. I would love to kind of show you what the tool looks like, how it works, and give you a bit of a insight into the behind the scenes mechanics. So let's assume that you are a potential client. You have a website, you run a storage business. Let's just assume that for a moment, right? And you really want to check if your website is showing up when somebody goes and looks for storage services in Ajax or in Pickering or in Mississauga or in Vaughan. Somebody would go into ChatGPT and put these terms, and then you want to be seen, right? We created a page on our website, TechWyse.com, which is detailed in terms of all the features that generative engine optimization is all about and how to go about optimizing, wherein you kind of enter the URL that you want to analyze, and I click on get my free GEO report. What's happening in the backend is that the AI agent has been triggered. The AI agent literally goes and looks at the URL, renders the page, studies the content on that page, looks at what's working, what's not working, and so on and so forth, and actually sends me an email with that report. So as you can see, this says you will receive a free GEO audit report for AI visibility improvement. It looks at citation frequency, content and semantic optimization, generative ranking position, technical and structural optimization. So in several ways, it is also kind of making sure that the page is structurally sound for search engines to discover the page. It is also looking at more sophisticated features such as generative ranking positions or entity mention velocity. That matters because that is how the LLMs and answer engines would decide whether they want to show this business's website for a relevant query or somebody else's. The fun part is once this person or this business becomes a customer, then we kind of go the whole 9 yards, right? Where we analyze not just their homepage, but a lot of pages on their website. For instance, if there's an e-commerce website, you're having a product page. On that product page, you typically may not have about the author. You may not have EEAT signals or information about the relevant inbound links or outbound links on that page. It may not be such a strong signal. Maybe FAQs needn't be that exhaustive. It's a typical product page. Ratings and reviews might make more sense. So there are different parameters for a product page. Now compare that to a home page of a website, right? In the home page, it's more ideally targeted towards the target audiences. It's introducing the business. Information about the services and the products is going to be still very sparse. To understand the services, you would typically go into the menu and go into the services or the products sections. The tool is intelligent enough to understand what it needs to study. So let me quickly open up the actual tool and kind of give you a glimpse of how it works. You see the number of pages that have been identified that need to be optimized, and what we look at is something called as the visibility score. That is at the heart of this entire tool. So let me click on the visibility score for this particular client. The teams have decided to select specific pages that the tool extensively studies for their visibility on answer engines on LLMs, right? You want to make sure that they have a relevant answer engine share, and there are pop-up definitions to explain what each of these features mean. As I go in, it is literally now showing me lists of questions that we are trying to analyze with respect to the information or the content on that page. So as you can see, it says, are answers written in natural conversational language? Because that is super relevant to LLMs. Here it's a 70%, which means it's not too bad, it's pretty impressive. Of course, there's opportunity for improvement. It could always be 100%, but at 70, it's not too shabby. Picks up relevant words from the page and showcases that as the reason why it has ranked this particular page at a 70%. With those changes, what's going to happen is that within the scope of answer engine share, this particular website or this particular page, to be specific, is highly likely to get displayed. It kind of gives us a roadmap to say, for the stage 1 implementation of these changes, do this. For stage 2 of the implementation, take care of a bunch of these things. So even there, from an implementation standpoint, the tool is intelligent enough to pick out the most important, the most relevant feature out of those 10 things, really do well on the answer engine share criteria. So we have the team here who knows exactly what needs to be done, what needs to be changed, where there is no guesswork. It is very precise, and there's a very high possibility that once we make these changes, the page is going to rank really, really high. If somebody was looking for a service that this particular business provides, chances are extremely high that this particular business's relevant page is going to show up on ChatGPT, right? That's the end game. That's where we want to get to. The whole idea is that you look at the scores at the beginning of the month, you do all the work in the month, and at the end of the month, you kind of run the scores all over again. So the engine again assesses the same page for the same parameters, and hopefully, while it was a 10%, it now becomes a 30% or a 50% or an 80%. What we saw so far was really what's cooking in the kitchen, behind the scenes. But all of these terms are a little too geeky, citation overview, entity mention, velocity, it's all a little too tricky. So to keep it simple from the customer's point of view, what we've done is when the user or the customer logs into their CRM, on their dashboard, as you can see, there's a bunch of things that shows them the state of their business as of date. And then you go into something called AI traffic here. If I click on these 3 dots and go into view, it tells me a lot more about the AI-based traffic that came onto the website. So what we showed you was the extended page level scores, including within the page. We also showed you, the scores for specific questions that we would analyze the page against. In this, it kind of gives us an overarching score from month to month, so that we know in October, against each of these criteria, such as the answer engine share, citation frequency, content and semantic optimization, and so on, these were the scores. So overall, in October, the score was a 4.35. Over time, that's gone up to 4.67 in the months of November and December, and now the score has gone up to 4.75. Now, what this means is we've made strategic content updates on the website on specific pages, which means that their chances of being shown or their chances of getting picked by these LLMs is higher or better than before. This kind of gives the clients a very clear visibility into what's working, what's not working, how is it working. And on the lead section, I'm actually able to see all the sources from which these prospects converted into leads. In the source, it will actually call out the name of the LLM through which this prospect became a lead. We identified what we needed to do to get them on these LLMs. We did all the work. We kind of improved the content on their pages. We made sure that it's structurally sound, because of which the scores went up. Since the scores went up, we are reasonably sure that they should get discovered, right? And sure enough, they did get discovered on LLMs, and that's how we got the AI traffic. And this shows us that those individuals or those businesses that kind of came in through these LLMs are now actually a lead to the business. So this is an entire end-to-end cycle that we offer. Organically discovering your business is by far the most cost-effective way for any business to generate leads and sales. And if you're serious about getting that done for your business, you should reach out to sales@techwyse.com. Look up our generative engine optimization page. Ask questions, look at what it means, look at how we go about the mechanics of doing this service. We would love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day.